Look at this surprise. This morning on our kitchen window, on the outside, not the inside, that's why you see the screen in the way. It's a beautiful little Luna moth. Luna, it's big. It's not too little. It's about three inches long, 4 inches wide. But saw this flying around last night. And now, wow, it's landed. That's kind of neat. And here it is about noon. Alright, so anyway, nature's full of surprises. Hello, welcome to today's channel update. So, August has been a very interesting month. However, thinking about it, I could have almost titled this update Best Laid Plans Part 2, but it wasn't nearly as crazy as that previous month. But let's kind of go through what's up, what did happen, what didn't happen. Just hopefully you'll get some painting done while you're listening to me ramble and enjoy kind of the thoughts I've got. Alright, I got notes, so I didn't want to miss anything. So let's just dive in. One thing that was interesting, I had initially thought about this, what I think was a cool idea of a newsreel kind of format for not battle reports, but just a quick summary of all the different kind of games that would be going on in this Conor campaign. On Saturday, the reality was the first week of that campaign, the place was packed again, and so of course noise levels were a little high. But my idea of doing a newsreel approach actually wouldn't matter, and you wouldn't care about the noise level because I'd be just taking video and then dubbing it afterward, just like newsreels. Well, unfortunately, things were so chaotic that day that there just was no way to get myself into any of these games, and do the videos, because I'd be in everybody's way. And so, trying to be nice, that was the approach I took, and especially since now they have a slightly different table layout at the shop. Things are a little more packed. They're looking at selling off 2 or 3 of their 4x6 tables, so that's going to help. I don't know if you're in the area and you don't know about it. These are tables. This is where the top is designed to come off the pedestal. The pedestal will fit through a standard doorway, so you don't have to tear it down to move it. And of course, the top being a 4x6 and 3-4 inches deep, that'll go through any door. So if you got a way to move it and you're interested, I think the shop's looking for $120 for something like that. So anyway, just for what it's worth. So now, the next thing I wanted to kind of talk about was kind of a complication this week. It was weird. I had not realized it when I got all excited about the Conor release or campaign and this whole newsreel concept. I didn't realize that my calendar, except for that first week, was just packed on weekends. I didn't have a single weekend free. Matter of fact, I'm not going to have a free weekend until the 9th of September. So here it is from end of July, well, basically all of August, and the first week is 5 weeks of not being able to really play on a Saturday. But fortunately, my wife, she has her her dance ministry team meetings on Thursdays now, which is kind of cool because while she's doing that, I can swing by the game store and get a quick game in. Emphasis on quick. I've only got about 3 hours, which sounds like, oh, that's plenty of time. But it really isn't, considering it depends on when the other person shows up, and then there's time to set up the table, review the scenario. We pretty much agree on point values or power level values ahead of time, but our games have been large. So, for example, this last week we did a 120 or 140 power level game, and it turns out my list is about 2,600 points is what it was. So that's a pretty big game. Now, I didn't have a lot of models, but it's a pretty large game. So it took the better part of 3 hours to get through. So if it takes, and we only got through 3 turns. Remember, there's a lot of, this is new enough where we're still referencing rules, because you don't get to use all your models. And since each model has a different rule set slightly, so that's one thing that I'll get used to with 8th. But with having that time, it really takes away any time to summarize a turn in a battle report. It takes away any time at all to go through the army review before each, for each player, and to set up the board. It really does add about an extra hour of video time or game time when you're videoing it, assuming it's a regular 5-turn game. So obviously there's just no time for that. So I haven't been able to put out bat reps or the newsreels because I haven't been on there on Saturdays when everybody's there, and it's just me and somebody else on Thursdays usually. So with no time to video. So sadly, that's where the Best Laid Plans falls apart. However, you may have noticed some videos come out and some the studio armor reviews, projects I finished finally, and so I've been putting my time toward that. My knees feeling tremendously better, so I've gotten basically back to the old grind. It's all working good. Now let's see. Next thing I wanted to touch base on was the channel health kind of thing. My goal is about 15 videos a month. That's what I try to shoot for a minimum. I don't mind going over. I don't particularly like coming under that. This month, with being away, weekends not being around, and then regular weekday kind of stuff, things happen. I haven't been able to get as many videos done. However, it looks like I'm on pace to get 14 out this month. I wanted to get a 15th one, but I think it's going to be a little hard. I want to make sure I do a good job on it, because it's actually going to be a product review of a basing system that I've just stumbled upon, and actually I think I kind of like. But again, we'll actually walk through it. I'll show you how to use it, and I'll review right there on the spot. So, but I need to come up with a good camera way to mount the camera over the workbench. I don't have a really good space for that right now, but just a couple hours of figuring that out, I'm sure I'll come up with something. Now, what's really cool, at least for me, is I finally hit in August 150 subscribers. So that's great. I was excited. My views have exceeded 14,500, which is good, and I think that's really what matters the most, is seeing how many people are actually looking at this stuff. And again, comments are a great thing. I see someone stumble on my videos, literally stumble. They're not searching for it necessarily, and they run across one of my older conversions or one of my studio armor reviews, and they comment about it. And it's really gratifying to hear the positive feedback. It's so far been positive. A couple suggestions have come through, on how I could do things, which is great. I usually address that back, explaining maybe why I did what I did when I did, and consider it for the future. It's a pretty good. I like that interaction. So I'm thinking I'm pretty happy about that. The subscriber growth has been pretty steady. And there's been losses as well as gains. So as long as I'm trending upward, I'm feeling happy. That's really all. I'm doing this, remember, for two primary reasons. One, to have fun, and two, to kind of share ideas with just the general public, because in my little world I don't really interact with a whole lot of people, and I think I've got ideas that might be worth considering. So I'm just putting it out there for you guys to consider. Alright, so anyway, that's the way the channel's going so far. What's interesting is this month, by the time we hit there, we'll have over 300 videos posted, which is pretty good. At least for me, I've been really just on a roll over the last few months. Again, trying to keep it at 15 video per month goal. Now, that's not something where I set my goal at 15 and I try to schedule here are the videos I'm going to do. No, it's just right now they come as them inspired to do something, and then I'll just put it out there, and hopefully they'll add up to 15. This month it was kind of slow in the early part of the month, and you're going to see almost daily videos if you haven't already, as I catch up with some of the ideas I had and finally finish the projects far enough where I can video them. That's also another consideration, is I have to have a finished project in order to actually video some of these things. Alright, oh yeah, one of the neat things, looking back on this month with the release of the Conor campaign, it's been fascinating to watch the different stories that Games Workshop has put out around this. Now I don't know how much they planned this, and I know this narrative scenarios they lean one side or the other as they're supposed to. I don't know if any of you remember the old Imperial Armor prior to second edition, prior to their second edition. Their original editions had scenarios that reflected the stories. Now some of the stories were pretty lopsided, and still the game wasn't about who won. It was having fun, and could you do better than history did? The characters in the story. And today I run this across so many people who are just everything's like a matched play, exactly even numbers, and if it's not balanced, it's just they don't want anything to do with it. To me, it's just a bunch of whining, and I get tired of that quickly. There's Games Workshop has been extremely vocal, in my opinion, about how they intend this game to be played, and there's 3 ways they've structured it to do such, because they realize it's not all about point balanced matches. That's a tournament circuit, and that's cool stuff. I like my point balanced matches too, but I would love the narratives. Every so often, it would be nice to just throw down models and just play open style. And looking back on my life in 40K, I've done all 3. Matter of fact, my son and I, we wanted one day let's just do an infantry only battle. And he brought all his Space Marine infantry. I brought all my Eldar infantry, Guardians. So we're not talking high power, Dire Avengers and Howling Banshees and all these cool things. We're talking Guardians. And that was just infantry. So he could bring in his Centurions. I could bring in my Wraith Guard. So there was no overpower, but we didn't care about points at all. It was as open play as you can get, and we had a blast with it. I don't even remember who won. I honestly think it was. I think I did. It was only because he couldn't kill one of the units off an objective. I think it was something as simple as that. But it was a slaughter fest. We were moving models off the table. We had a lot of fun, and it wasn't about winning. It was about just playing only infantry. Open play. The narrative, you've seen a lot of my narrative campaign stuff, my narrative scenarios in some of the Sabre duels. I like those type of story experiences, things that aren't match play. And of course, I've been in doing match play since it started, because that's usually how people try to sort of balance each other out. So I really get sick of the whining when people complain about power levels because those can be gamed, or narrative because it's unbalanced, and it's like, knock it off. I mean, in real life, there's no such thing as a balanced anything, let alone in war. The whole idea is to go at it in an imbalanced, with it in your favor. So your enemy is going to one-up you, and you are going to be at a disadvantage. Deal with it. Get over it. You never hear any of the old the generals whining. No one whined when D-Day Omaha Beach wasn't going so well. No one whined when on either side, whether it was Rommel or the 4 different British generals, when they were seesawing back and forth across the desert for 3 years. None of that. There was no one making excuses. Well, it's unfair. Nah, forget it. All right, well, anyway, done with that rant. It's just something that gets under my skin. So I'm really excited about. Love the Conor narrative. And now, unfortunately for me, 8th edition has not been kind. I've played 9 games. I've only won 4, and 3 of those were with my Tau army, and at different power levels. So I don't have a Storm Surge, don't have Ghost Kills, don't have a lot of Crisis Suits. I don't have a lot of the big hitters that people usually associate with the Tau. So some of those games were, a fair run, and took some. I did have to use some tactics and be very careful. Orcs I haven't won with yet. I only played once with my Exite Dragon Masters, the Tyranid Codex. Lost that one, but that was not. There were some early bad dice rolls and lucky dice rolls that really flipped the balance right away. But overall, I mean, I learned a lot from that particular game. So, Ace not been good for me, win-loss wise. I'm not used to being on the losing end of things so much, but it's been there's been a lot of learning, and I've been able to apply the concepts that I've talked about in my videos for to some success. And even the losses, some of the games were so close that we didn't have a clue who was going to win until that last turn, and it just finally swung one way or the other. So those are great games. Just in general, I've got a good opponent, so that also helps. So that's 8th edition. Yeah, I've been talking about a model queue being I had 250 models or more or whatever, and it's been a challenge to work through that. Now, with 8th edition dropping and seeing the actual indexes, I realized that some of my models may not be what they used to be. So what I did is I've actually gone through quite a number of models, and of course I've added a few to the queue, but so I brought it down. I was finally just north of 200. I think it was 210 or so, 215, somewhere in that region. But then I looked at the models that I still had to do, not the ones that just needed to be painted, but like the ones that are actually in process on conversions. My witches, my blood brides, which are in my Exodite army, moon maidens and moon brides. And then I've looked at my Eldar jet bikes that I was going to convert up, literally kit bash from bits, Dark Eldar and Eldar bits, to make Warlock and Farseer jet bikes. Unique character, not necessarily character like name character jet bikes, but these would be characters in my fluff that this is their jet bike, for example. Well, I don't want to move any further with those because it requires a lot of work to build, but I have to make sure that I take into account what are the rules and what are the weapons that you can have on it, because the last thing I want to do is create these jet bikes that are just shuriken catapults when it turns out if the Farseer comes out, they have some special thing they can get on their jet bikes. Could be like with the witches, where they might have a different combination of weapons they can use. It used to be if you had 10, one of them could take a special weapon set. If you had 20, 3 could take a special weapon set, something like that. Well, if they change the weapons that are available, so I need to take that into account as I build them. So I put those on hold. So I've got about 185 models left in the queue, including still the 31 from my bolt action. Okay, and those are, just they're taking time, and I've granted I haven't worked on them since I hurt my knee, but that's actually been fortunate. It has allowed me to shift my focus to some other stuff that needed to finally get done. So that's what's been going on with the model queue. So I've had some success. I'm not going to get rid of it by the end of the year, and the Titanosaur is taking a lot more time than I expected. And that one I'm still going on. That is not on hold. That's just I have to sculpt certain things, and that's not an easy thing. I need to get some money together to buy certain pieces and bits and parts and what have you. So there's a lot there. I'm also experimenting possibly doing some molding and to take care of some of those needs. Now, you probably can tell in most of my videos, not just the channel updates, but just in general, I don't really use a script, and I kind of do it because I like to do off the cuff. These aren't pre-rehearsed. I've got a list of things in my head, kind of know what I want to talk about, points I want to make. Sometimes I cover them all, sometimes I don't, sometimes I go off on a tangent. But that's just me. I think that's the way I want to do the videos. So if you have a channel and you're watching, please do me a favor, comment below and let me know, do you guys use script out your videos, or do you just pretty much go freeform with notes like I've been doing today? Okay, just a quick question. What was interesting this month, though, and it's kind of sidetracked me, I guess, is the eclipse thing. Now, you probably saw my video, which was not planned. I did plan to film the corona when it finally went total, but that was essentially just for that whole video is for sentimental purposes. It's not because I'm a photographer or anything. It's just I wanted to document our experience and put it out there. I've actually got quite a bit more footage of showing the park we were in, all that kind of stuff. Kind of, if you will, family vacation type video. I'm going to put all that together and put it, again, safely up on YouTube. Now it'll be unlisted, but it'll be there. So that it's kind of like for posterity kind of thing. What was interesting is I was able to come up with a way, thanks to my wife scoring some glasses, last minute sort of, I was able to use them as a makeshift filter over my video camera, so I was actually able to catch part of the partial eclipse as it was moving toward totality. Then when totality hit, I was able to take it off, and it was like really cool. Now, the reason I want to say all that is that what's on the video doesn't even come close to what I saw in real life. As a matter of fact, most of the pictures I've seen, except the ones that come from like NASA super scopes or whatever, none of them really do the event justice. And I have a guy at work on my team. He's a professional photographer. It's his hobby job, and so he works part-time in my team, and the rest of his time, that's what he makes a living on, is his photography. And he did some eclipse stuff, and even his photos and his video stuff through his lenses and stuff weren't able to capture the detail that you see in real life. And they were only marginally better than mine, which was actually kind of neat, because during a team meeting we showed each other's work to the team just to kind of get them up to date. Here's what the eclipse is like, and encourage them to see one. And that's what I want to do to you guys, is encourage you, if you get the opportunity, to go travel to where the eclipse is going to be total. It's every 18 months or so there's an eclipse, so it's all around the world somewhere. If it happens to be close to you, take the time out to go check it out, because you really can't compare it when you're looking at the pictures and videos. It just isn't there. First of all, the sky in all the pictures is black, but in reality it's blue. It's not bright blue, it's that dusk blue. And you can see some stars. Actually, Jupiter was actually in view to the right of the eclipse. And the filaments that come off the corona are so fine and detailed, you don't get that in pictures and video. But to see it in person, amazing. Now, the other thing that's kind of cool is when it's total and you're actually in the totality space, it's a 360-degree sunset. So no matter which direction you look, you're looking at a sunset, and it looks beautiful. So pick your location carefully if you want some certain scenic kind of experiences. But I really do encourage you to do that. If you can get out to a place that isn't densely populated or more natural, you might have more wildlife noises. Where we were, not so much. It was in a small town with surrounded by forests and what have you, but there weren't a lot of birds chirping. Just in general, locusts or cicadas were buzzing for the earlier part of when we got there, late morning. But as it got hotter, they kind of stopped. Now, what's interesting is when the totality hit, it got really cool. The locusts started up again, or cicadas started up again, which is, I kind of wondered if the cicadas are responsive to temperature. Interesting. But I didn't really hear the crickets. My wife did, but I didn't. I was just kind of so amazed by what I was seeing. Thankfully, I was able to just set the camera and just kind of watch myself. But the problem was, I was trying to use my cell phone to get pictures and video of everything else, and it didn't work out. You only have about 2.5 minutes of to actually see all this stuff. So I am going to go again. It's about 7 years from now. There's another one going to come near my house. And when I say near, I'm talking about 4 hours away. Okay, so we're not talking like just step outside and see it. But it'll be nice to this time or next time to just not worry about photos and videos. Just set the camera up to capture it like I did this time, and then just enjoy it and just take it in. That's the plan. So if you get a chance, the next time there's a total eclipse near you, by all means try to take your family there and experience it just once in your life. It's really something that's indescribable. So, all right, so I'll leave you guys with that. That's the update for this month. Hope you got some painting done while I was rambling, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks a lot for sticking with me. Bye-bye.